Have you ever had a situation where something goes wrong? It puts you in a bad state of mind. And then after that, you feel like everything else that happens goes wrong. You start banging your head on stuff, dropping stuff. Everything seems like it's making you flustered. As we say, when it rains, it pours. Well, I think that statement, when it rains, it pours, has less to do with our actual external reality than our state when we're facing our external reality. In other words, I think what goes on is that something puts us in a bad state. Something bothers us, something rattles us, something disconnects us from our willingness to face reality. And all of a sudden we get locked into our heads, we get disoriented, and then everything we do, we're interacting with the world in a disoriented state. On the other hand, you've probably experienced a win in your life, and after that win, you feel like you're just walking on clouds. You feel like everything you say is on point, you feel like everything you touch is gold, you're feeling chipper. Again, I don't think that has to do with, a lot of times, as much with the world just going your way as your state in which you're interacting with the world. When you're in a good state of mind, you're expecting good things to happen. You're confident in yourself as you approach things. I've been on a number of short-term mission trips in my life, and one of the things that happens, I've noticed in short-term mission trips, is everybody on the team is just constantly on alert and ready for God to move. And what happens is you find yourself in all these really cool situations in which it seems like God just shows up and you're ready for it and amazing things happen. I can't help but wonder how much of that has to do with our willingness to notice and expect God to work around us. So if I'm right about that negative and positive state, imagine the power of if we learn to enact that positive state, that expectant state, that ready state, that readiness for God to act in our favor, that readiness, that alertness, that looking for opportunities constantly. If we were in that state all the time, what would happen? There's a really cool book called The Alchemist, and probably had something to do with my first initial point in this channel of this idea of life alchemy, looking for the transformation of things around us. And there's a sense in which part of the theme of the book is kind of, you could say, foo-foo and overly optimistic. This idea that when you want something bad enough, the universe works in your favor. But I think that there's truth to that statement in regard to our perception. I've said this a number of times. When you buy a new car, you all of a sudden seem like you see that car, that same type of car, all over the place. That type of car was there all the time, but you just started noticing it because that's now on your perception. Likewise, things that you focus on, the things that you're aiming at, the things that you're seeking for, you'll notice them all around you. So, I mentioned a little while back about working from core. I think the most important thing as we approach our day, approach our goals, is our core state, where we are in our minds, in our hearts, in our emotions, and what we're willing to see and look for in the world around us.